magic button?
Yeah.
Alright.
How are you?
Alright, let's call the meeting to order. This is the Quality of Life and Infrastructure Committee. See here, I'm here, Councilmember Moser Campoli,
Here.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Here.
We're gonna defer the meeting minutes till November from our last meeting. Westcott Lot, sorry, I'm trying to keep my voice. Westcott Lot retaining wall railing connection to 218, 224 Mead Street.
We, Chris and I each sent some emails to the committee over the last week or so. I didn't print those out, but I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at the pictures.
I
Just
saw
kind of
them.
showing what the condition was with each of the posts. I think there was an assertion that, the post that was closer to the city's area of the sidewalk was deteriorated further than the other posts, which really isn't the case. It's all just been impacted by salt, whether it's us salting or the private property owner salting. So that was just a explanation of what the existing conditions are. But our contractor did install, the other thing I tried to show, I don't know if that made sense, but they installed a post within the post that's attached beneath. I sent pictures. Hopefully that made some sense.
A post within a
Yeah.
post to help
I
build the
was-
structure up.
Yeah.
That was like that, hold on, cause there were like one.
It's a sturdy connection now. That thing is not
The
gonna
one that
tip
has,
over,
like-
you're not gonna lean into it
Yeah.
and knock it over, which was a concern.
Mhm.
Chris, my only question, are we removing that post and replacing it?
No.
That's part of what that's the one we're connecting to.
No, we're not gonna connect it, we're just gonna put our post next to it.
That's right, not connecting physically, but
Yeah.
that's where our scope stops. So
Yes.
that post will remain, as the picture shows, secured from beneath and within, until Jim decides to do the project he was talking about,
Okay.
to install a nicer looking fence, to replace the one that's there.
And he knew we were gonna do that, cause his idea is he wants to replace railing all the way to the corner.
Mhm.
But not knowing how long it's gonna take for that to happen, I told him we would just install our railing up to his railing until the time that he decides he's gonna do that project.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, so that's what he was referring to there. The section where our stairs used to come up, now there's gonna be, our fence will look different than the one that's there. He would like to replace one little section of our new fence at such time that he decides to do the whole railing on his side.
Yep.
And we don't have any concerns with that.
I think we would wanna review what he's doing, have a look at it, but.
Probably have to have some type of paperwork signed, so we're not back in the predicament of handshake.
I'd like to see a full
Right.
agreement on the whole thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
just to make it all clear
Yeah.
moving forward.
And at this point, that whole
Yeah.
platform is only serving private property, no longer serving the public because of the stairs being moved. So it could be some sort of an agreement that acknowledges that this is on our property and that we allow it to be there as long as it's maintained and kept up with, but reserve the right somehow to require its removal in the future, not that we would be seeking to do that.
We never found any agreements or anything like that for any of the other stuff.
No, Chris and Mo in the engineering office found a lot of good old records that, you can explain, but I think there was indication that some sort of an entrance had been there with some sort of an access for as long as we have records, without any kind of agreement between the city or anyone else. Obviously, this wasn't always the city's property.
Emails
Yeah.
on all three of you. You should have received an email
Yeah,
a
'cause
couple weeks ago, week
it
ago?
was, it looks like it was on the 9th, cause some of these were quite old.
Yes.
I remember, and
Yeah.
a little difficult to interpret, so I was glad that you put some explanation
That's kind of
along
like,
with
I
it.
think that's really kind of my question, was none of that is bearing that we take care of that platform.
Not from what we reviewed. Everything I sent you guys was the same thing that I sent Dave Merzig, and Dave
Mhm.
Merzig's,
Right,
standpoint was not ours.
right.
I don't think the clerk's office ever looked for anything additional.
I got back, so our records for that time frame are in an Access database, and we no longer have access to Access. So we've been doing a manual search, and we're back about 50 years and have not found
Nothing
anything
yet,
yet.
Okay.
no, okay, cause some of these, I don't actually know the age on these, but some of them do look like they're quite old.
Yes.
So or
we-
something.
Yeah,
But we did shore up that one post.
that one post was short
Yeah,
up.
that's the only one.
What's the committee's feeling? We exhaust, keep going? Say we're kind of, did what we're gonna do on the project, what's you guys' feelings?
Oh,
Again, because I think they're looking for some type of direction from us so they can tell the property owner.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, trying to come up with an agreement sounds like a good path going
I think
forward
that's
to
the best way
prevent
forward.
issues.
Yeah.
If that's what we're looking for now.
Get it all on
Yeah.
paper.
So I have no issue with the railing, we get it written up
Yeah.
so that both parties agree to it. So
Yeah.
we know who's liable for who's liable for what, so we're not back into kind of this thing. Let them know that we did shore up the one post, rest of it's on them, and we shored it up, but that's the extent of what we're doing. If they wanna replace it, that's up to that landowner.
Yeah.
It's not about what you guys need.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds all good to me.
Okay. Alright, anything else on that topic?
How's the project coming? Is it pretty
We're
much
just-
almost finished?
Yeah, railing.
Just the lead time on the railing to show up, so that
Great.
should be soon. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it should be
Okay.
coming soon.
Great.
Yeah.
I like pressure treated paintable wood.
So
Sorry.
would you like us to bring this back to this committee when we have a draft agreement and have to go to council to be approved?
Yeah.
Might as well bring it back through here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you think?
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
that's fine.
Yeah,
That's,
just to dot our i's, cross our t's.
yep. Sounds good. D Street EVSE data. No idea what those.
Who wants to guess what that means? That means
not
electric
even
vehicle
try.
Vehicles,
supply equipment.
Supply of-
Sorry, I should have spelled that out.
apply what's the E for?
Equipment.
Equipment.
Oh.
Charging
Right,
station
right.
on D Street lot.
Yes.
Layman's terms, sorry. I don't know why I wrote EVSE. Had it. So we had talked a while back about sharing some, which is the paper I handed out, some just data on the charging station there. So in our charge point portal, I'm able to pull this data pretty much anytime. So I just went month by month for this year to show the energy usage and the GHG savings, which mirror each other on the first page. There's not numbers on those, but they are titled, so energy this year would be the first one. You see that?
Yep.
The green line is obviously just the accumulated energy usage. So far through today, about an hour ago or 10 minutes ago, we had used about over 6.5 megawatt hours. At the station. The high months were July and August. Scrolling down, going down the next page, shows revenue. And I would issue an asterisk on the revenue. This is based on the calculation from ChargePoint, which I would have to just, if I wanted to be exact, I would check with Jay and see exactly what we've received. But this is an estimate. So somewhere around $300 was the max, or a little over that. That was in August, and a little over $2,000 for the year to date. The next one just below that is the number of sessions per month. So anytime, any session could be of varying lengths, but anytime someone plugs in. So July had the most sessions.
So, Greg, if we only make about $300, $400 of this, how much? Okay, say $1,500 a year. How much electric do we use for the year?
Well, that's the next thing I want to do is do a full analysis of cost analysis to see if our pricing is right, or if it should change to be, I mean, the idea initially, when we first installed this, it was free for a while, but then the idea from the council was we want to at least break even, we don't want to be spending money on it. I don't know, just doing some research, looking around, I'm not an EV driver, but looking around at charging stations around upstate New York, I don't know how many of them are looking to break even or certainly make money on these. A lot of them are free, a lot of them are similarly priced to ours. Ours is maybe a little bit expensive from what I, just clicking around on the charge point map. I don't know if anyone has an EV or has more experience researching that than I do, but do you, Mike, or?
Yeah, I think the city one is more expensive than, less expensive than the commercial, like Rapido, more expensive than like Supo or, like the library in Norwich, or something like that.
Yeah, I started just making some notes, you know, so the city, we charge 18 cents per kilowatt hour plus 75 cents per hour that you plugged in. So whether you're charging or not, if you're plugged in, you're paying 75 cents an hour because you're occupying the space and have the, you know, equipment's available to you, and then 18 cents per kilowatt hour that you're drawing. Cooperstown is 40 cents per kilowatt hour with no time, that's it. Omegang, 25 cents a kilowatt hour. Sumiana is 25 cents per hour. They don't charge per energy usage. Delhi, 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Somewhere else in Delhi was 18 cents. Richfield Springs, 30 cents per kilowatt hour plus $3 per hour. City of Albany at City Hall was 25 cents an hour. Rochester, looks like a hospital, 15 cents per kilowatt hour.
$3 an hour, that's almost like gas prices.
So yeah, I had a few others that I wrote
That's
down
per
here.
hour.
Yeah, not per
So if it's like a
unit.
1 hour to charge, there's, then,
I don't
Yeah,
think
and-
they're that long in charging, are they, Mike?
It depends on the, I mean, level 2 and level 3 are totally different. Level 2, it's like 6 to 7 kilowatts an hour,
Yeah.
and level 3 is like 35 to 50 kilowatts an hour.
Wow.
I was like, one's like a fast charge, one's like a medium charge.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
medium. The last graph that we have, the session length histogram, kind of shows how long people are typically plugged in. So you can see, you know, 3 to 4 hours is most typical.
Hmm.
This doesn't necessarily mean they're, I don't know at what point they're at a full charge, you know, they could be plugged in, that's part of their session, and could still be sitting there fully charged and haven't moved yet, that would be, I think, included in that.
Do we have 1 unit with 2 ports, or 2 units with 4 ports, or?
1 unit with 2 ports. I started, I didn't have time to finish it in a presentable format, I can bring it back next time, but I started doing a spreadsheet and just looking at our energy usage there. I have to do some math and some estimating because that meter is doing more than just the charging stations, just the street, or the Deep Street parking lot lights as well. So I kinda have to subtract that out as best I can estimate it.
Hmm.
But from that, we'll be able to see, you know, how much money are we losing, or what would it take to break even, or are we already?
And what did you say we currently charge for ours?
Ours is set at 18 cents
18.
per kilowatt hour plus 75 cents per hour. So if you park there for 2 hours and you use 14 kilowatt hours, you can pay 14 times 18 cents plus 70 plus $1.50. So 40, 72, 370 less than $4.
Okay.
For 2 hours.
Can I ask a question? What level charger is that?
Level 2.
Level 2?
Yeah.
And the ones that are gonna be on, 47 Market Street, will they be level
Same.
2?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so the rates will be the same for the new ones.
The rights?
But the rates.
Oh, rates, sorry, yeah, I would, You can change them depending on demand, and they could be different, obviously, but I would think we'd probably find something we're comfortable with. What are people utilizing, but is losing the least amount of money for the city, or breaking even ideally, and then apply that elsewhere.
In a 2-hour charge, how far can you get with an electric vehicle? Just curious to compare it to miles per gallon.
I just saw this, there's just recently some data.
How
coming out
heavy's your
about
foot?
this. It's far,
Is that-
it's pretty far now,
Is
yes,
Yeah,
it's much
some of them
farther, it's
go like
farther,
2.
it gets farther and farther, you know, as the technology increases and improves, so I think it's much more than even like 5 years ago. I mean, Mike, I'm looking at you, because you actually have an EV, don't you still,
Yeah,
or did you?
I don't now,
Oh.
but I had it for 2 years, and it was around 25 miles per kilowatt. If I no, that can't be right. I'd have to look back at my notes.
Well, if you did a 2-hour charge, like, how many miles can you get out of that 2 hour?
I think it's pretty far. Could probably go.
I
About a
actually
mile per hour.
have it written down like in a Google Doc. So give me a second.
Of course.
Just wondering.
But you know, I mean, the crazy thing about all this EV technology is that the Chinese now are like going gangbusters on it and are like creating like incredible efficiency. It's like, you know, completely unprecedented. And the US market is completely shut out of that. So just, you know, we don't even really know, right, like what the future's gonna look like because we're not allowed to tap into it.
Potential for that.
Right, it's incredible.
I want a George Jetson car. Sorry.
You never know.
On our way.
Yeah, okay, so theoretically you got 3 miles per kilowatt hour, but in reality I usually got more like 2.6, 2.7.
Okay.
So, in other words, like I could go about 20 miles after charging an hour.
1 hour, okay. So 40 miles with a 2-hour charge, and you said the cost was, Greg, $4?
$4.09 if you get the 7.2 per kilowatt hour or kilowatt rate. You get 14 kilowatt hours, you get 2 hours. So if you do a 2-hour charge in Oneonta, it's just over $4. Cooperstown, it's $5.76. $3.60 at Homegang, 50 cents SUNY Oneonta. Although there's some of these change after 4 hours, you have to pay $3 an hour. So I didn't factor that in. Delhi is just over $4, a little bit more than us. Richfield Springs is over $10.
So as a
Albany
comparison.
is $3.60. So we're not that
gas
far.
vehicle can get, what, 20 miles a gallon? So it's probably $6.60 a gallon. Gas is about $3.30 a gallon right now. Which-
Yeah, just
Yeah, maybe
Just
a little
about.
more, but yeah.
So $6.30 a gallon versus $4.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing here too, it sounds like there's quite a bit of variation in what's expected for these prices right now. When you talk about gas, there's more of a tight window, you know? But it sounds like it's just a little harder to compare these, you know, with the way that it's being implemented right now.
Does New York State does the DEC have a recommendation for?
Not that I've seen, I haven't really looked either. I think it's really market based. You know, if you're able to get people to come use it, they have a reason to use it because it's a downtown area and they think, oh, this makes sense while I'm here, I might as well use it. Or maybe they live downtown and they want to utilize that because they don't have the ability to plug into their house.
Right.
And I guess you're not charging too much, but if they stop using it, maybe I adjust from there.
Yeah.
I think it's probably kind of a local consideration. Like some of these places, Geneva and Utica City Hall don't charge anything. So I'm assuming they installed that maybe for their own vehicles and or
Yeah.
they want to offer a service. If you're coming to City Hall to do business, we're not going to try to charge you, we're going to invite you,
Right.
you know, as a way to encourage adoption of EVs because a lot of places did that sort of thing. So I think there's
Right.
still places that are maybe have been thinking that's how it was set up. They were thinking a certain way. Let's try to encourage EV adoption and not look to make
Right.
break even
Right.
or make money.
Right. Right. Well, it's pretty fascinating. Do you have any data on like who is using these EVs?
Not who, but Yeah, I can't, well, I can look again to see if there's any sort of indication of where they're
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
you know, cause they're all EV, they have, charge point accounts, so I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure if it connects to, it would tell me where they're from, what zip code, something like that.
Yeah, there's
Um,
their cell phone
You can
data.
kind of glean something, looking at number of unique drivers, I mean, there's more unique drivers in October than any other month this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Does
noticed
that,
that.
Unique
That's
drivers,
interesting.
meaning like those that have never used it before.
different drives, so
Yeah.
if I went there every day,
Oh, yeah,
I would count it as
Repeating
one unique
customers
driver
versus- yeah.
versus if it's like a different person each day.
yeah.
So it says there's like 35, 36 unique drivers in October versus last month there was 25. I mean, these are not huge numbers, so that's not a giant variation.
Right.
And just in general, looking at this, it gives the impression that, you know, July and August are the highest, you know, it gives the impression that there's likely tourist, use of those charging stations too.
Yeah.
Greg, do we know anything about what NYSEG will be charging the city, and how that's gonna change for the electricity?
I'm not aware of it changing, as far as, you mean just like the rates going up generally?
Yeah,
I've just been hearing in the 30% range. I don't think that's finalized yet.
but would that mean that we should increase our rates?
Yeah, potentially. I think I'll come back, you know, do the analysis to see just how close we are to break even or not, and look at the real dollars, like, what is this costing the city? And then we can talk about what are the benefits, why do we have these? I don't think it's to make money, I think it's to provide an option in the downtown area that people with EVs might utilize, and residents as well. But, you know,
Get more on return on people
buying,
buying goods than,
yeah, going
Really
downtown and charging. So it's kind of an
But
economic
maybe-
development thing, but it's a small thing.
maybe put that more like to the infrastructure side of maintaining like the parking lots and the equipment and versus putting that like in a general fund of, so it gets spent, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's the way to do the infrastructure that way.
Although I do think the state still provides incentives for EV charging stations.
As of right now, they are.
Yeah, they are, cause there was something just recently.
Up to
that came out.
80%, I think, is what just came across my desk,
Right, this was,
so.
we installed this at no cost to the city, we got a grant as well, so obviously that, it's just operating revenue and expenses.
It's funny, cause I just opened up from NYSERDA today, they sent me a bunch of stuff, so.
Yeah.
There is another DEC zero emission vehicle grant opportunity now announced, I think it's, I forget when it's due, I think it's an opportunity, if we're interested in that, and we talked about, is there value in adding an EV station elsewhere, but just throwing that out there. It's not something we're right now planning to do anything with, but I wanted to mention it. City Hall, I've heard Maskfield talked about, like the Parks and Rec, did they mention that, Kristen?
I think so,
They might have mentioned that.
yeah.
Westcott lot, Wall Street lot.
How is the trial going with the one we bought? Good luck with it, bad luck with it?
I have not heard any issues. I drove for the first time last week, Greg and I did.
Oh, yeah.
Figured out how to turn it off?
Yep.
Oh,
Out?
that's, yeah.
Turn it off, get in the drive. It's a little different, not much different, but it's a little different.
I haven't heard any issues.
Does it drive itself, or do you still have to have your hands on the wheel?
And you gotta have your hands on the wheel.
And how many chargers are we gonna get at 47 Market when that's all completed?
12 charging ports. So more than enough based on anecdotal perception and the data at this point, but there's capacity there for.
Sticking with ChargePoint.
I mean, I think it sort of begs the broader question. I mean, it brought up, you know, but I think it does beg the question, kind of like, what is the future here for EVs just in the near term? And, you know, the future does not look bright, so I don't know what that means in terms of shaping local policy around them. You know, and what kinds of incentives then exist for EV grant writing and so forth. So that's the question I have, you know, if consumers are really excited about them still, or it doesn't seem, I mean, I have read recent reports that say that the EV sales are in decline. So I don't know what that means, you know, for then our decision making.
A couple of the manufacturers came out and said that they were gonna expect it to decline, but they don't see them getting away from the technology.
They can't.
Yeah.
That was on
I think
the news,
that's-
I don't know what
yeah.
that means either,
They
but.
can't. I mean, that's just my aside. You can't get away from it because the future is EVs.
Yeah. And while, you know,
It's not
we
a fossil
may have a
fuel.
slump with it, as you said, other countries, you know, including China, are just moving
No.
right ahead, so.
Not that it's a car, but I love my battery operated lawnmower. It's quiet, I can go out, it's peaceful,
Yeah.
you know, you're not wearing the hair protection,
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to sneak it in so the neighbors don't know that I'm mowing the lawn, cause we have these lawn mowing wars in my area that
Oh, yeah.
minute one goes out, everybody's gotta go out. So,
The only thing I wanted to add is I had a budget request in there to reconstruct the Wall Street parking lot this year. So if we wanted to do EV chargers, Wall Street parking lot would be possibly a good idea because we're gonna have it tore up. Just throwing that out there.
I did see that on the budget, which is good, cause I know that that has some problems with drainage and ice and water and everything,
so,
so.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, cause there was mention of a potential grant, is that something that would apply potentially towards that project?
We would
Or-
need to do it immediately, right, Greg?
I think so, just for the EV charging.
Right, yes, understood.
You know, I'm gonna find out, we have a Climate Smart Communities meeting, just after this. I'm gonna ask the folks from NFET their impression of kind of like, you know, where's EV, incentives from the state, looking like for the next 4 to 5 years? If they can even answer that. I would just like some direction around this, you know, on a local level.
If I was a betting man and I had a real poker face and I could bet, I would say that why not fill out the grant and try to get it, at least for,
Yeah.
if nothing else, like two stations, that's
Mhm.
4 points, 4 charging, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, 2 stations with, I can't speak today, but you know what I mean.
Two
Yes.
ports, one station, 2 ports, or
Yeah.
2 ports, 4 stations?
Two
Four
stations, so
Four
total
ports.
4 point.
Yeah, cause I
Four
think there,
ports, oh my good lord.
yeah, there were some concerns, I think, specifically with, you know, the engineering work that would have been required for here, but if we can look at another site, or you mentioned Damascus Field potentially, is that another site? Is
I mean, it's a
DPW looking at that?
I have not looked into anything
Okay.
at Damascus. I haven't looked at anything in Wall Street either. 'Cause
Okay, I'm just thinking like proximity to other, you know, ports that are around, Wall to Dietz is not very far, but if there is a use in the park, that one's a little more distant, that might potentially have, some greater value there. I'm not familiar with which
Well,
might have better.
We don't have to put a
infrastructure.
specific location, right? We could just sit there and say we want to, and
You do.
Do you?
Okay,
s-
As
Oh, yeah.
as long as it hasn't changed from last time, you do.
I don't know, do 1 and 1,
that's true.
see how it goes.
Is there a difference in the charger for Teslas and the other E EVs?
I think the charge point, a Tesla can use charge point, but a non-Tesla owner could not use a Tesla charging station. Is that
Right.
right? There's a different type of connector, unless you get a
You can buy,
adapter.
you can spend like $300 for an adapter,
Okay.
which for some people will make sense, but Tesla chargers even faster than the like Rogue.
Yeah, cause I think they're level 3,
They're like even, they're like
yeah, they do the,
top of the line.
paying for the name, Mike.
I drove, I rented a Tesla and we drove to Michigan, and we had to stop at every 200 miles, but then it only took like 20 minutes to recharge it.
Wow.
Yeah, I say, go for a this is just my
Yeah.
opinion, I don't know what you guys feel. Let's go for a grant, try to get pickup two.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you guys if you wanna do 1 at one, 2 at West, whatever.
I think
Whatever
the Wall
you-
Street is a great location.
Yeah.
It's so well used.
Yeah,
Just have one there.
Yeah, I think
The
if
West
you had,
lot, I think you mentioned too.
I mean, if you have 1-2 port thing there, you're taking 2 spaces and saying that
Yeah.
these are only allowed to be
Right.
used by EVs.
Right.
To the extent that we enforce that, so that is
Right.
taking 2 spaces away from
Right.
highly utilized lots. The only
Yes, well,
consideration
what-
is that,
how,
do you
But
want
two
the,
isn't
what about-
dramatic. It's not.
yeah,
yeah, it's not a deal breaker, but.
would it maybe be better suited for the Westcott lot? I mean, that one is also highly utilized, but is that maybe a little, have a little more give in it than,
I would like to get some feedback from EV drivers,
Yeah.
like if there are any that
yeah,
utilize
I would love to hear from people who
Mhm.
actually do this.
mhm.
ours now or come downtown now,
Yeah.
like, are
I
they?
am just guessing, I have not utilized it, but I think whatever we can do, you know, especially if there's grant funds that, you know, we can tap into, I'm always a fan of trying to, leverage those dollars to our fullest.
Cause if the most common length of stay is 3 to 4 hours, we don't want them staying in the Westcott lot, or Wall Street lot
Yeah.
for 3 to 4 hours.
That's
Right,
That's
okay,
Um,
So-
okay, that's a good
So
point.
this, to back to the city hall option, that was, were you thinking of for city hall, for city vehicles
It could
primarily?
be, it would have to be, well, it could be available to the public, but
In
also
theory.
the city has a vehicle now, in the future will likely have more than one, so it would make
Yeah.
sense for us to have something here. But now it's fine to use the other ones as well, I mean, it's just a matter of planning for the future, that would be a little more convenient. But I think if we had, I don't know, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, were you thinking of this being a public charger as well as for city vehicles, depending on where it is?
Initially, it was just to charge our new EV vehicle, but I did not have any objection to making it public.
So
I think
the-
the only way you can get grant funding is if it's available to the public,
Okay.
that's the difference there with the grant.
So,
Don't choke.
chill talk. I would say, let's explore 2.
Mhm.
You guys
Yeah.
come up with a spot. I mean, I'm not the big fan of the city hall and for right now for these. I would say let's look at like either Westcott lot or one at Westcott lot, one at Damaski, whatever, you know, whatever. I'm okay with it.
Well, I'm hearing about the length of time, you know, thinking about that factor as well. I mean, I think that, you know, while, you know, they may have shorter times for Wall Street, the Westcott lot, I think we'd have more flexibility in the park probably with the amount of time that somebody could charge for, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the draw, trying to get with tourists and stuff, if they
Yeah.
can stop,
Yep,
utilize downtown, or if they do go to, you know, a ball game, whatever.
yeah,
I'm for it. I think that's all right.
absolutely.
I think
Kind of
it's.
scatter them out, like you said, the more, I think we can spread them out, probably the greater use, but, you
Yeah.
know, with feedback from EV users.
I
but-
do know, I would just say anecdotally, this is just a personal anecdote, that I know a city, where there's a lot of EV reserve spots and people hate them.
Yeah.
Like, they hate them.
Like it's too many, you think they?
Yeah, that they're like, you know, I can't park here because
Okay.
that
Yeah.
EV, and it just feels like there's this animosity then.
So it tells us we need to be
Between-
thoughtful about how we.
Right, and
Yes,
so,
yeah.
and then they feel powerless, and, you know, it just creates a lot of like angry residents who are already maybe, especially in our context, disgruntled about parking.
That's why maybe it makes sense, maybe
Yeah.
like one at Westcott,
I-
whatever.
yeah, I
Because
agree,
then you're
like
only taking
spreading
like
it
maybe
out
2
to-
spots
Yes.
at the most versus,
Right.
I think that'll be easier.
so.
Yeah.
Great, you got it up to parking task force.
We didn't even get to talk about it.
Again, my story is totally anecdotal, I have no like actual data,
Oh.
it's just personal stories of people saying,
Right.
EV drive.
I'm sure we'll
I
hear some
think
of that.
you're right, and I think we have to think about that at 47 Market Street.
Yeah,
If there are 12 spots there,
I know.
and Greg, you mentioned, or Chris, one of you mentioned at some point that maybe we would not open all 12 of them.
Yeah, I mean, the grant funding would dictate that they need to be available to the public.
Mhm.
Um,
Or that we
But
some
if
available as
years go,
flex
or
parking.
whatever period of time goes by, and they're clearly not being utilized at all, ever, then there might be a justification to not have them all be EV, but we have to look at that.
Yeah. I could see there being a local uprising around it, much the way people often, when there's a bike lane put in, they won't
Oh,
pay attention to that. I could see people just saying, I don't care.
there's some nice new stuff, but with the, cause it's, what is the total number of spots for 47 again? Do you remember?
100
Oh, I meant the whole,
total.
sorry.
115? I believe.
Okay, so, yeah, okay.
I mean, it seems to me that maybe, I don't know if this causes problems because it's gonna confuse people, but you had some that were EV only and some that were EV only during some part of the day perhaps, but like open to anyone from like 8 p.m. on, or I don't know. But I don't know what the timing would be, but just,
I've come to learn something in many years of law enforcement. People are gonna do what people wanna do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the sign tells you to do anyway. So it's just how much are we gonna enforce
Oh,
things?
That's right,
the-
I think that's right.
Speaking of signs though, one thing I was thinking about was we talked about like these various lots that are shorter times, so we might wanna put it in lots with longer times. We could eventually think about some kind of signage to direct people for where to find those
Mhm.
EV spots too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they do, I mean, obviously, if you have ChargePoint app, it shows you a map of where they are.
Oh, okay,
So
so we
like,
don't
the
need.
drivers
Not
themselves.
that,
but-
of course, there's technology for that.
We'll put up a red balloon.
There's technology for the technology, yeah, okay,
Like they used to have the red balloons that you put on
Yep.
the grates when Stephen King's It came out.
yeah.
Just put them on top of the EV chargers.
The other thing that segues nicely to is time limits in the 47 Market Street parking lot, which we should be able to open relatively soon. We should bring, if we want to enforce them, we should establish them. And then obviously if we move to a paid parking model in the future, then that goes away like everything else. But we should talk about what we want our time limits to be in that lot.
47 mark.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any thoughts on that?
Oh, we're doing that now?
Yeah, I'm just
You-
thinking,
Oh.
If you have any thoughts at the moment, we would be happy to hear them. We would be opening this before our next meeting.
So, in the previous, parking lot, parking garage, what were the,
A mixture of 4-hour, 2-hour, some 2-hour and 8-hour spots all day, basically. Um, At this point, 27 Market Street is remaining a parking lot until April and a garbage storage area. After that, if presumably that goes away and you don't have that as an option as well, then I think you need to accommodate some of the residents, the longer-term parkers that are gonna be parking all day potentially, commuters.
and if we do that, if it's my understanding, it's in violation of our code, city code, correct?
Do what?
Zoning code,
Do-
to allow that to be a parking lot?
Oh, like permanently? I mean, it hasn't gone through any site plan review
Okay.
to be a parking lot. It's just, we did that because we knew we had this construction project going on. You know, site plan review for the project did not include that, so.
What are most of our parking lots right now for parking?
Mixture, Dietz lot is 2-hour, 4-hour and all day.
Westcott's too.
What do you
Westcott is all
classify
two-
all day?
all
12
day.
hours, 16,
Is that 8 hours?
24,
Oh, 20, okay.
24,
24 max.
24 max, yeah. So you could, if a car was sitting there for a week, we could, you know, track that and ticket it and tow it, but. I don't think that 2-hour is necessary in this lot. I think you could 4-hour minimum because you're a little bit further away from Main Street itself.
Yeah.
And there is a
It's-
stair and elevator to get there.
I'm trying to think, like, you go to a restaurant, you sit down, it's typically about an hour and a half, probably about, then you wanna walk to stores.
Yeah,
I think 4 hours probably minimum.
it's fine.
Are you
Start.
thinking that there's a need for some longer term parking in
I'm
that lot
thinking
as well?
trailways.
'Cause-
And people
oh,
taking the buses, we're gonna need some long term.
Can we do like
yeah,
a thing, cause do garage is like right there, the car's right there, it's not like Amtrak where you go in and then you have to walk all the way back again. But if you're like right there, they have like some type of parking thing that could be put up there and like they pay for X amount. Like if they're gonna be there for like a week or whatever.
That's a great idea, because that was my question, is sort of, what, how much of this is paid parking? None of it, right?
None
At the
yet.
moment?
Not at the moment, all of it eventually, be the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. But I think that's a way to start, thinking about the passengers, bus passengers, and
Yeah.
then their needs in terms of car, storage.
Kinda like the airport, you know, if you're gonna be, you know, $5
Yeah.
a day or whatever,
Yeah.
then you have to,
Yeah,
you know, but we don't have the gates up yet, so I mean, we'd have to say, okay, we're gonna be gone a week, here's a, you know, your week pass, here's how much it you know.
short term, long term.
Yeah,
Wait, so is kind of my understanding correctly that you're saying, for now, not charging for anyone for parking except for more than 24 hours or something, like long-term parking?
longer term, yeah.
And then we charge a few dollars a day?
It would trailways be in there, if they're gonna leave their car there, cause they're grabbing the bus to go wherever, and they're gonna be gone, say, 5 days, they can get this thing, so that they're, you know, not, and they pay for it, and put up, and then they don't get ticketed, they don't get towed, they don't, but they got that parking spot for X amount.
But not have specific spots for them, just have the,
I don't know, I'm gonna kinda leave that up to,
Yeah, if we sold monthly permits to, if you're a resident downtown or whoever you might be, we would have designated areas or lots where you could park using that permit, but not spots. And you wouldn't have a reserve spot, but it also wouldn't, you know, it'd probably be the whole 47 Market Street lot would be available to someone who has this permit, and maybe the entire Deed Street lot or sections of those lots. I wouldn't think you'd want a permit holder to be parking anywhere else downtown, because that's like where you want the turnover. You don't want people parking all day if they work downtown. Or
I mean, if we're gonna say that that's a transit hub, you gotta kinda think about transit parking. That's
Trailways
kinda-
doesn't have a whole lot of that, but they do have some.
Right, that's what I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you might only need like 5 spots for trailways, I don't know. First come, first served, whatever, I don't know.
What do people do now? They get dropped off,
I was
right?
gonna say, I think a lot of folks take the bus.
Somebody
They
drop
walk?
off some of their vehicles,
Yeah.
Do they?
yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm always curious. I see people walking from the bus a
Mhm.
lot,
Yep,
and I'm always feeling a little sorry because it's a, there's not a lot of
with their luggage and
sidewalk.
everything, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, I don't think I've ever seen more than half a dozen vehicles for trailways.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, cause I'm saying like 3, 5, 2, I don't know, like just a couple. That'll help.
In the past with the parking garage, I was there, they would just have a tag that they would hang, that would say something, and we didn't have paid parking there anyway, but they would just allow them to park for longer than otherwise. Do something similar for now.
I mean, personally, I think we ought to put gates there, and
Yeah.
you pay for, if you're there for a day, it costs this much, if you're there, say like $5 a day, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I think that's,
Yeah.
it's similar to what the parking garage model was, right? There wasn't a gate.
There wasn't a gate or anything, we didn't pay, but I always thought we should, cause it would've maintained,
You would.
Yeah.
would've, could've, and should've, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I'm thinking of the Ithaca parking garage downtown. That
Yeah.
has a gate and that has paid parking.
Yeah, but those are the kinds of things that we could implement with this, paid
Right.
parking, different
I think we
things
need to
to
know.
maintain what we are,
Yeah.
what's being created there, cause, I mean, it's been a big investment,
I
it's
mean,
gonna take.
a parking lot
upkeep.
takes money to
Yeah.
upkeep, just as
I mean,
much
just
as
like
anything
we're
else.
talking about Wall Street, like, that's not that old, but at the same time, it's, needs attention.
Just to go back to the Ithaca
Yeah.
example, do you know if Ithaca, that has paid parking as well, or is that not paid parking? On the streets,
I think it's pretty good, yeah.
throughout the streets?
That's what I
I'm
remember.
not sure the whole extent of the area, but
I don't
downtown.
remember either. I just know the parking garage is paid and you have
Yes.
to.
I remember going to
Get a ticket.
the old bubble gum machines and putting a quarter in and turning
Yeah.
it so you had like a half-hour parking and ran in and did your business real quick down on the Westcott lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that we haven't had it before,
I remember them being there.
so. And no, I'm not saying I advocate for paid parking all across the city, 'cause I'm not doing that either, I'm just, I just think, like, we spent this money into the transit hub, and I think if, just someone gotta think about certain areas.
Absolutely.
And that parking lot's gonna be difficult, cause it's gonna be mixed use there. People are gonna be parking for trailways, you're gonna have employees that work at the transit hub that are gonna park businesses that might be parked there for 8 hours. So it's gonna be a mixture of things, some,
Well, that's why I'm saying, I mean, like, you could do, eventually, if you wanted to invest in the gates or whatever, it's $5 a day, $3 a day, whatever. And then if they wanna choose that when they leave, you know, I mean, that's just the future, that's not now, but I'm just thinking for now, just for the trailsways, like a couple, maybe 3, 5 spots. And they can pay for the parking, whatever rate we set for that, for those spots. You know? No, I don't think our city people should have to pay to park there because they're running the buses either.
I just wonder, does that disincentivize people to use the bus though? If you have to pay for the bus and then pay for parking to get, I guess Amtrak does this, we do planes and trains, but.
I mean, they could still park in Neo Park, right? Because there's no regulations about overnight parking in Neo Park.
Right.
Or we just give them.
Oh, I see, is the other
I
option.
think there is a limit.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have 24-hour parking, so if they take a bus and they leave a car there, cause I wouldn't go along with 24-hour parking in 47
No, but
Market.
Yeah.
So you'd have a minimum of 4 hours, maximum of, say, 12.
technically the park's closed 10 PM to 6 AM. That's an hour, right, Carrie?
Ballpark, it's like 10:30,
Yeah.
7, something like that.
but if your car's there, and you're not, is that?
So, for interpretation, I guess.
Well, I mean, you take the risk, you park your car there, you're on the bus, and it's not a 24-hour parking spot, the city has the right to ticket and tow.
Yeah.
It's still in our code, we have
Unless
never
it
got
snows,
rid
then you can park.
Unless it's what?
Unless it snows, then you can park there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless we lift restrictions, but. I think the base is 4, but I don't think we should have 24-hour parking there.
So for, just question, resident that lives downtown, a downtown resident, where would they move their car once every 24 hours? Would be required to, technically? Or if they paid a higher price
I think
for
they
that
should have-
monthly permit?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, couldn't you have a permit by month or?
Yeah.
Well,
Several
I'm not
months?
against permitting either, like, we talked about it with D Street, we talked about it with a couple other ones.
That's my thought with
Only,
residents
but I wouldn't,
downtown.
only a certain amount of spots, I wouldn't say, you know, like, put like this, okay, you're here, you got this block of like 8 spots, that's the amount that we sell, and, you know, cause you're still gonna wanna open up for other people to park there. Am I on the same kinda wavelength here, or am I like off in left
Yeah.
field?
Does that give you fodder for?
Does that give a starting
So,
place?
so, yeah, if initially, if we wanna go to council and just have something on in our code that establishes a parking time limit for this parking lot, I think we'll look at how many spaces, 4-hour versus,
I mean, I think personally, I think it's better to have even in our D Street and stuff, so people have to go out and move it, because half the complaints we get is the fact that we get these snow, because people aren't moving their cars, and then when they finally do, there's this big snow mound, and of course, it's iced over by that time, and Chris's crew really can't get it up unless you put a dump truck full of salt on it and melt it, and then, you know, so I don't think 24 hours is a good.
so if we have no 24-hour, let's just say if we had no 24-hour parking downtown, if you're a resident downtown, that means you can't have a car and leave it there all day and all night. Like, you'd have to move it. I mean, especially if you only have 4-hour, then you would have to you wouldn't be able to park downtown. You have to have something that covers that daytime period, if you wanna have people have the ability to leave their car. Let's say I live downtown and I don't need to use my car during the day. Can I leave it somewhere all day and not get a ticket? Or do I need to move it twice a day, all the time? Which has been historically the complaint that we've gotten over the years. You know, people, back when the city tried putting meters in the bottom of the parking garage in the Westcott lot, the intent, I understand it, was to try to offer an option for people to buy a monthly permit. And no one did that because there was still free parking like the next floor up. So it when I lived downtown, I moved my car twice a day. I got a ticket like once a month, 'cause I forgot. So, you know, you can do that, but is that an issue we wanna address somehow by offering some level of, presumably in the future, paid at a higher rate, monthly permit parking for someone who lives downtown, so they could park their car in a certain area for 3 days in a row? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm open to doing that. I mean, I think that's, you know, because quite honestly, it's not, we get beat up over this, but it's not really our job to provide that type of parking for that. I mean, that's not, kind of like when you go and you rent an apartment, one of the questions you should ask is, how's your parking? Is it on street, off street? And then I gotta play by the rules of whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's our job to provide free parking for landlords.
Yeah.
Not free, I agree,
Right.
completely not free, but if they pay a fair.
If they paid, if they pay like a permit system or something like that, cause they're,
Great idea.
Yeah.
I think it-
agree.
It seems like a no-brainer,
Mhm.
actually, the permit system. Just in terms of, for precisely that reason.
Mhm.
Yep,
We're not in the city's not in the business of providing free parking
Yeah.
for landlords.
and if you want free community parking, that's something that you need to, you know, invest in.
unless we have one lot that's that way and they understand that that's a community parking lot, it's free and we move the snow, kinda like at the college, if you don't come out and move the snow, I can't plow around your car and even though we sit there and say we're gonna come through and plow on such a day, time, make sure all the cars are moved, they don't come out and move them, so. You know, I mean, they just gotta understand if you're gonna pay for that and you don't, you're gonna have to shovel around your car a little bit too. You brush your car off, have a shovel.
I actually think the city should look into doing a permit system, not just, I know this is a downtown focus, but I think it actually could behoove the city to look beyond downtown into Center City too, for permit. I think we've talked about it too, with the parking task force. As a pilot, even.
See, I think we could go further, cause then you could have like this thing on your window or whatever, and
Yeah.
it scans, and then you could do your brush removal the same way, put money on a preloaded thing, like Easy Pass or whatever,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and you just keep your money on there, and then just,
I'm with you.
But we're gonna get a lot of pushback from, well, I mean, like when 27 Market Street stops being parking, we're gonna get pushback anyway, but,
Not if there's something
But-
in there that will benefit the broader city.
right, I mean, it's okay if we get pushback from some people if other people support it.
But it all depends on what we decide to put into 27 Market. If we choose as a council to put in a development project that is going to help the city and contribute to people's quality of life,
And if you-
yes, there will be people who will mourn the loss of parking lot.
Right, I mean,
But I mean,
I'm
the
just.
broader concern will be, or the broader focus will be on what this particular, plot of land will be providing.
Right, but I
in terms of
think that it's
benefits.
useful to provide people an alternative, it doesn't have to be convenient alternative, but if we said, okay, you can no longer park 7 days a week, leave your, like when, in May, when I was looking at cars, there were cars that never moved during the course of several weeks in April and May, when we're talking about 27 Market Street. But if we provided a spot in Nemo Park seems to be the logical spot, where, okay, so if you really are never gonna use you're a student, you brought your car here, but you're rarely gonna use it, you can leave it there. That's out of the way, you're not taking a spot from anyone else. So, just so they have an alternative, and so we're not saying, now you have to move your car every 12 hours, tough.
and the idea too is you wanna free it up for other people that are coming to visit, you know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how many people come in to visit our downtown area yet. We've never really gotten those kind of numbers. I think it's more the local I like Latte Lounge, so I'm going there every morning, you know.
I think the students,
I think the student population that lives around there does. I think some of them do come down.
not as much as they used to.
Not as much, the bar scene isn't what it used to be, which I think is good for our police department.
We
Not
have
so
some
good for our
information
bars, but.
From the
Sure.
summer
I'd
program.
like to ask a question. So it's, I think the problem is threading the needle. We want to encourage people to live downtown, and you have to figure out a way, if they have a vehicle, where they're gonna put it. I'm not proposing a solution, but I'm saying, that's the, excuse me, that's the dilemma. So we want to encourage people to live downtown if that's what they choose to do, and then we have to figure out a place where they can put their car and charge them or whatever. There's gotta be a place, otherwise people won't live downtown.
Well, I think, yeah, but do you wanna give up the prime parking spots to residents that are gonna park 24/7, 360, you know, however long they live there?
I'm not
You know what I'm
proposing a
Well,
solution. I
people
don't know the
also-
answer.
No, I'm just asking a question
I
back.
think we're
It's
thinking
not-
too, like, I think people do find, I mean, in other cities, people find ways of
Mhm.
living in spaces without concerning themselves too much with their cars.
Mhm.
I mean, there are populations out there that, you know, cars are not the central focus. In fact, they maybe choose to limit themselves in terms of what their car use.
Yeah.
So,
But it might help our public transit, cause we wanna get ridership up.
yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, if you tell people they can only park for 12 hours, if you're a student, it's like, well, I need to move my car anyway, so I might as well drive to campus, as opposed to taking bus to campus.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the permit system is, I think the consensus seems to be, right, that
I
permit
think so.
system of
Mhm.
some, you know, nuance and variety would be, is a really
Why not? Yeah,
forward way of.
let's have 47 Market Street be a trial basis.
Yeah.
I think, for it to work well, having a paid permit system in
Mhm.
certain areas, you can pay, you know, permit, park at 47 Market Street, maybe Deeks Lot. It's only gonna work well if there's hourly metered,
Mhm.
hourly parking, paid parking in the area around it, filling
Mhm.
it. So like, kinda like implement paid parking in this geographic area, and then you have different rates, and there may be permit parking that's less convenient, that costs a bit more, because you're parking there every day, but it's costs less than if you paid by the hour. It can work together that way, like a market. Otherwise, the market is, well, the free parking just down the street.
Why would
Now
you-
it's not
Right.
too far to walk, because
Yeah.
I can do it for free, you know, and that still might be the case. You know, someone might walk from Damascus Field, who never would have thought that was an option or thought about it, but now maybe they will because, yeah, it's not that hard to do, and I don't like it. But then that frees up more of those spaces downtown for the daily comers and goers, so.
Alright.
Appreciate the feedback.
I've just lost thought that before we open that 47 Market Street lot, I think we should start it with whatever we're gonna do. We don't wanna have it open and free for a couple months and then start charging people.
Okay, I'll see if that's possible.
We're looking at what, November 1st for opening?
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be,
Chris, do we have a
Close.
date on opening the parking lot?
It depends on when the contractor completes the temporary lighting.
Which is intended to be the end of the week, but there's some question as to whether that'll be the case. So, but we're talking within a week.
Yeah.
We don't have to open it. And do we, if we need an extra week to figure out the parking?
I think there's gonna be public pressure to get it open as soon as possible.
we've been talking about that opening this fall.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if just one more week would be enough time to implement a whole,
No.
cause that takes more decision-making, right? More investment, so, I mean, I think we just need to open that lot after the amount of time that we've been talking about it too.
Yeah.
I think we've faced a different kind of
You're right,
backlash.
You're right, yeah. So what, do you have a
Timeframe?
like, holding 4 hours or?
Oh, I think we can go to council on Tuesday with something, but I think 4 hours would be nothing less than that. And then do we wanna have some spots that are
Like 8-hour spots? Is that what you were thinking, or
Or
like
longer.
8 hour? I mean, if you do 8 hour, then realistically, like our parking is, well, downtown on the streets is it's in effect from 8 AM to 6 PM. Yeah, I mean,
4 hours.
there'd be overnight parking more than 8 hours,
Yeah, so if it was,
We can't imply that we're gonna enforce 8 hour parking.
okay, so.
If you
forget
park there
that
at
then.
10 PM and then at 6 AM, that you'll get a ticket. 'Cause
Okay.
that- We won't be doing that, so why ask them to
Yeah,
comply with something?
so we started with 4 hours, and then, so what, like, it would be reasonable then to have, like, a bunch of 4 hours and then some 24-hour spots? Would that be more reasonable?
What if we just
How
put
many of those people
times,
who are traveling?
What do you mean?
instead of saying 4 hours, is whatever, just put times, like, this block, these two rolls are from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, it's 12 hours. This roll back here is your only, I mean, that's 24-hour parking, but if you just 24-hour parking, it'd be that roll there, cause you're only 24-hour parking.
That's kind of what I'm thinking is, I think you could
Yeah.
say 4 hour max in the entire lot, except for certain numbers that are maybe further away that are 24-hour max. So
Yeah.
you could park overnight, but you can't leave it there all week. If that, I mean, that covers the.
So I come in at 2 o'clock in the morning and then I decide I'm not leaving till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. How are we gonna enforce this stuff?
Well, the time limit parking is applicable from 8 AM to 6 PM throughout downtown now. So if you park at 8 PM and you stay overnight, you have until, is it 6 PM? 6 AM to 6 PM or 8 AM to 6 PM? If it's 8 AM to 6 PM and you have 4 hours from 8 AM, which would take you to noon before you'd get a ticket, because that enforcement starts at 8 AM and goes to noon, even though you might have parked there overnight. The enforcement officer wasn't there to check, so he doesn't know. He's checking at 8, oh, there you are, 4 hours later, you're still there. Plus whatever grace period, you can get a ticket.
Yeah, I think
So how we-
mostly 4 hour and then some of those 24 hours mixed in would make sense then. And we can always review it again, right? If it's not working out.
Yeah.
For
If we get
True.
more
I'm
feedback
I
as it
am
opens
but
up.
one vote.
I think it's a good place to start. I mean,
I do too.
Like we've
We
said
gotta
before,
start
we gotta start someplace,
Yeah.
I think it's a
right?
good place to start.
No,
For Trailways customers, they could give them maybe a special thing that they can put on their dash.
Yeah,
And we know that
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can
That's a good way to
longer.
do it.
until we can get the permit system
mhm,
Yeah.
up and running and
yeah. But ultimately, I think that will be key to, you know,
still say gates.
addressing some of these concerns that, you know, come up.
I'm still voting for the arms. Alright, we got a place to start, you're gonna bring that at
Council
council meeting?
next week, yeah.
Okay.
Something like
We do have one add-on, I told Mike he can ask, he wants to talk about some concerns with our tree removal and the trails up around the reservoir. I told him he could bring up the concern, but I also said that we kind of voted as a council, so maybe a lot of his questions may have to be answered at that point, but I
Okay,
figured we could at least talk.
Yeah, I mean, ideally my goal tonight is to figure out what we need to do so that then at our next council meeting, well, not Wednesday, but our next normal council meeting, we can do that.
Yeah, bring up the
So,
concerns, cause maybe we can come through a consensus here, and then between Chris and Greg, and,
Yeah,
you know.
so, I mean, there are immediate problems and there are long-term problems. The immediate problems that I've been dealing with is that, they started logging on Friday and already I started getting complaints. And, I don't know, Chris or Greg, when there's a Nixle announcement in the Daily Star that trails were closed, but no specific information about how long the trails are closed. So I was getting questions and concerns, so, and I don't know, I can show you guys this map, you don't have a pretty copy of that map, I just do. Mo, if
Chris is making a copy of the map.
Oh,
Oh, that's nice of you.
here, that's what it looks like. Oh,
Very kind.
Yeah.
so, I just got so many other questions about it, that people have sent me. Like, we need to publicize how long they're gonna be closed, and the question is, there are like 7 different actually 8 different parcels. One that's been closed in the summer, that's they're almost done with, and 7 more where they'll be cutting, so I don't know how long they work, but if they're working like in one spot for a month and then they're moving somewhere else, maybe we can stage it in such a way so we don't have to close all the trails for a year. That we, so that's one question. Second question is the best way to communicate this. Chris and I are probably gonna go up on Thursday to put some signs on trailheads, the trails are closed, but I don't know, there needs to be messaging with that, I think.
Thank you so much. Very nice.
So,
And then there's the, I think we didn't do a good job of giving people advance notice
Thank you.
for this initial time. So, so we have to figure out how to, help you further advance, because I know people were like, the mountain bikers were like up there, leaf blowing the trails the past couple weeks. You know, and doing volunteer work so that they could bike on the trails as the leaves were falling, and they kept, so some of those people were pissed off because like, wait, I just spent my Saturday afternoon leaf blowing these trails and now they're closed. And I also don't know what we're thinking about closures as far as hunting, because that's only 3 weeks, November 15th, right? It's only 3 weeks away. So that's the short-term question, and like how we manage the logging and the recreational use.
let's take a couple that we can answer now. We need to get maybe another nixle out, trails are closed,
Yeah.
and they're closed for the year, will we do this,
I would
Chris?
say for the year.
Rest of this year, or for a year from, like 2026, like, or is it just for the rest of this year?
The loggers have 2 full years to complete their work. Both are in there right now to do the work, I just don't know, I don't know what their schedule's gonna be, I really don't know that yet.
Okay, so for safety reason, we're closing the trails down as we do this work. Sounds
So
reasonable.
12 months.
Yes,
Mhm.
I would say 12 months from now.
So can we get a
If they
nixle
can
out?
open them sooner, they'll open sooner.
Yeah.
So can we at least get a nixle out, and more wording out, maybe? I don't think that should be that hard, right? I mean, I don't do it, I'm just asking.
We did one, yeah, that said while the work was being completed, so we can just send the second one that says for 12 months.
Okay,
Did yours include this map from Mom?
It included not the one from Mo, I had the hand-drawn map from,
Yeah, I do this one.
that one, if you send it digitally, I'll update it with that.
okay.
Okay, one thought though, the loggers really work winter months for the most part, right? Through March, April?
No, they work all year round,
Yeah.
and if you got a couple different companies going in and do it, you can't regulate.
Well,
You might have-
there's one company that just has one parcel, and that one's been closed for how long, Chris?
Couple weeks.
No, really? Just a couple weeks? They were in there in August, right?
No.
No, we
they
were up
started.
marking stuff.
Yeah, they were marking things, but they haven't been
Okay.
actually
Okay.
cutting trees until now.
Okay. Yeah, one concern I have knowing mountain bikers is that if all these trails are posted closed, but then there's no sign of any logging activity, people just start ignoring them. That's been our problem consistently on the trestle.
Well, you know what,
on the
it's,
island.
Mike, honestly, if we close the trails down,
But we
and
have
that's-
enforcement, that's the question.
I understand that, but then they're doing it at their own risk. If they get hurt, that's on them, cause we closed them down.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't, they wanna complain, I'm sorry, but we still have to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
Right, but
I'm not gonna,
I want enforcement if we're, at least a little bit of
not in the city, but yeah, I feel like posting it, putting out notice, that is the kind of enforcement. I
Mhm.
hesitate to try to like find people doing something wrong with this, you know, because it is a recreational activity. I don't wanna criminalize it in any way.
Well, some
well,
of
what
it
if-
comes
what do
into
you think-
jurisdiction too, cause
Well,
some of
also-
it's not city.
Yeah,
city.
that's what I'm
Well,
thinking,
so-
that's what I'm trying to get
To be
at.
completely honest, this is really boils down to liability.
Yeah.
If someone's cutting a tree down and people are walking down a trail and
Yeah.
the tree falls on them,
Yeah.
We're live.
that, we're liable,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So that's why we're closing these trails.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I have signs that, Mike and I are gonna go around the
Okay.
watershed on Thursday, we said, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna post, trail closure signs.
So, we're gonna put on another Nixle, say they're closed for the year, whatever date you wanna come up with, whatever. Put it on, can I go on the website too, Carrie?
Yeah.
Get it on the website, try to make sure that it's in with the paper again. And then, so that takes care of that part. Then what's the next, I didn't write all the concerns down, what's the? So that takes care of the communication. The enforcement is the fact that we're saying this is closed, we're posting it, we're telling everybody. They're now trespassing at that point.
Yeah,
Right.
That's right, that's important, Mike, because it's not just
Yeah.
that they're like strolling along, they're actually gonna be trespassing on city land. So
Right.
it is on that, I mean, it's on them, right?
Right. But
So what would enforcement look like for you? Cause that seems like we've got a pretty comprehensive list here.
I mean, Chris and I were talking about some four-wheelers, people riding four-wheelers on some
Yeah.
roads, which is completely never allowed.
No,
And you guys tried some game cameras, but it didn't work, like, we need to, like, if we catch somebody in action, we could, fine them $1,000 or whatever the fine is, but, or arrest them for trespassing.
yeah.
I don't think we wanna arrest mountain bikers or bird watchers for trespassing, but,
yes.
but
I
I
mean-
also want to, like, I hate the.
We need to get out to the mountain biking club and tell them that we
Yeah,
posted it, we
that's
closed it down.
Communication.
If they get on there, it's called trespassing,
That's right.
Yeah,
trespassing is
that's
against the
probably
law.
the most direct way. The
Right.
other thing that I wanna bring up in this, you know, conversation that we keep coming back to in many conversations is, you know, communication. And, you know, we have one city clerk who does a lot and has a lot on her plate.
Too much.
And we keep asking, what more can she do?
Oh, I got a
And-
bunch more she can
And,
do.
oh, I know, I understand you, but I just wanna bring this back to when we're talking about our budget discussions, that this is something that we should consider, you know, like
Anybody
really
got a couch I
investing
can borrow?
is the city's communication infrastructure too, right?
Yes.
So,
I mean, we don't know who is gonna be mayor, but I heard Dan Butterman say that he wants a public information person position. I don't know how he's gonna fund it, but,
That's it, everything comes back down to funding and we're trying to figure all that
that's why I
out.
said, in our budget discussions, let's keep this in mind, folks.
Maybe it's put another person in the clerk's office.
I think
I don't
we
know,
have
I don't know
talked
the answer.
about it.
I'm just,
Yeah, I don't know the answer, we're sitting right here, but we've talked about this since last budget season, so I just think it's something that we should continue to consider. It's in my notes, don't worry, I'm just, I'll bring it
I
back
think
up
we
again.
talked about that since I've been sitting in this chair.
Yeah, that's,
So about at least the last 6. Have I been here 6?
yeah,
I've been
you
here way
did
too
just
long.
say that, almost. So that, I mean, really, it just goes to show it's an ongoing issue that really could use some attention.
Yes, Chris. No, Chris.
I think in the Facebook post, Nixle post, we should say that the areas highlighted in pink, purple, whatever you see, are, closed until further notice.
Yeah,
Not, don't give a deadline, don't
Yeah,
give
just
a,
say
well,
yeah.
just say
That's
closed
probably
until
smart.
further
That's great.
notice.
Because then we can adjust it when it
Yes.
yeah, that's great.
Yes.
And then maybe just put out a reminder as we get it.
And that's hunting, any access whatsoever.
Yeah.
right, so that.
So what are you gonna do with
that
this
makes sense.
section right here, Chris, when you got the blue in the middle, pink on both outsides, where you got the trail that's going right up? That's a danger zone.
Where?
Cause you got like pink and pink, right?
Yep.
So technically that's open,
Yep.
cause you got pink and pink,
They're gonna have to stay off of the property where it's pink.
but isn't that a danger zone? It's still a danger zone. What happens when
Which-
you're working here?
Now, which part are you talking about here?
See what I'm saying? Cause if you say pink areas, well, I can go here, then I can walk over here, and I can come over back over here, and then who says I'm not gonna walk into this?
Would hunting season,
All the trails.
Mitigate that?
At that point, that's where we're talking about putting.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, but technically, I'm not trespassing here at that point,
Right.
right? So you put it closed here, but they're not really trespassing there until they get to here.
We can modify the map so it's
So,
just pink.
I would just fill in the spots pink, anywhere you've got a potential zone where they're gonna cross, make it pink. So this is part of up here,
Yep,
this is all
It's
from
clear.
here. This spot here, this spot here,
okay.
and possibly this side of the school, pink here,
That's not our property. No, but that's our property.
which is, okay, that's fine, but you know what I'm saying, because,
So,
That blue
when
part,
we're talking,
the blue part.
that's what I'm saying, because you got
I
it
think
there,
you
so,
yeah.
that's what I would
Actually.
Okay.
just fill it in pink and then you'd be all right.
okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, before Cecilia, 'cause there's something quick I wanna bring up, before we wrap up.
Okay, and then the next question is hunting, are we,
Were you talking about down here?
There.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
I
We're
thought you were
talking
looking
about
at
here.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about right there.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because that's, you can close it,
And
close it,
could-
close it.
Yeah,
That makes more sense.
maybe,
So,
if that's okay, there.
I think this will be all right because this is so
Okay.
far
and it's on the
open.
other, that's on the other side of the
But
road.
because you
So
got a
because
pinch
it's
point
tight
there,
here
pinch
and
point
tight
there.
here, Yeah, and there's no way to get through without that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right.
just so you guys know.
No, I had the impression,
Thank you.
but thank you for
I don't
explaining.
know what the hunting license is for this year, but are we're doing the DC permit for hunting, right?
I believe.
The deer
So-
program?
Yes.
or-
Do you know who to ask? Is Susan Lettuce.
Susan,
Right,
yeah.
but we're just,
Ask Susan about it.
I want, like, how does closing 400 acres of 1,000 acres affect that?
That's a good question.
Good question for Susan Lettuce.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really don't know. She's the one that's been
She's-
heading that all up, so.
Yeah, she's gonna have to.
She is a
So,
very, very knowledgeable source on that.
Yep.
so will Greg or Chris, one of you guys will figure that part out. We have 3 weeks till hunting season starts.
Hunting season.
It's really
actually-
Susan.
Well, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's really Susan who could,
Yeah.
she's the one who is do you know Susan Lettuce? She's the head, she's a public defender, she's also the head of the Deer Task Force.
Right,
Right, and so she's really been spearheading the
Right.
DEC initiatives that they've been doing. So
right,
I would really ask her how they plan
Okay.
to navigate these
Right.
closures.
right,
That's what I recommend.
okay. All right, then the other second issue, as you guys know, that there are some trees that I'm interested, old growth trees that I'm interested in trying to save. So what's the best process? Basically, Chris, you said that we could figure out with Rod, like, what their value is.
Yeah, what I would need you to do is you would need to mark or flag the trees that you want to save or buy back.
Right,
And then I'll have to have Rod and the, logger take a look at it and then give us a quote.
do we have any idea? Cause I did the math and there were like 4,000 trees being cut, and so it came out to like $75 a tree. But I realized these are bigger trees and other trees are smaller, so I
Yeah,
guess.
it
Also goes
depends
on
on
wood types
species. Yeah,
and
species.
what they're bringing at the time. And some loggers may not sign off on it, Mike. They may sit there and say, no, I bought this as a lot,
Right.
this is what we're doing. Because they're not gonna wanna do selected trees, cause it's
Right.
actually
This-
harder for them.
This is stuff that we already voted on and is planned for in the budget too, right? And
Yeah,
it's
I
part of the
don't-
reason that
Right.
we need to know the value, right? Okay, yep, or why we need to.
I mean, I think that'd be probably more of a discussion for the council,
Yeah,
decide if they really
agreed.
wanna go down that road, because I'm not inclined to
We
kinda
can't
go
make
down
that
road.
kind of
Right,
level
no, but
decision.
So-
if we just thinking timing wise, if we can get that, figure out that information in time for the next council meeting. I mean, maybe it's not urgent and we just take as long as it
My
takes.
thoughts are just generally, if council sets a priority for the city and sets the direction and staff can go and execute it, the council has awarded contracts which we've gone forward with executing. So if the council as a whole wants us to look further into this, then it should, I think, come from the council before we spend any more time and effort on it, just understanding Chris and his staff's workload. And
Right.
Yeah,
That's
Wanna pay
what
attention.
I was trying to.
exactly, yeah.
there's 5 of you here, but
Yeah.
if all 5 of you said this is a great idea and go for it, then I guess we could take our cue, but.
No, because we're not really truly in a
Exactly,
in a
we need
meeting
to,
where we can do
yeah.
that.
I know.
I know what you're saying, but
I think it's a simple solution, whether it's accepted or not. But Mike took me up there, and I think the important thing is protecting the trees that are within 50 feet of the streams. And because many of the trees hold the bank, I think it's called, what's the bank, stream bank?
Riparian zone, Field Stream Bank.
Yeah.
well,
And anyway, so it would probably end up, if we could work out a deal with the loggers, saying, please don't cut anything that's within 50 feet of the
I think that
streams.
goes back to what Greg was just saying. When
Right.
he said we already voted on this,
Was
But
so
that-
we
this
can't-
has to come back to council because we already gave them the direction to go.
Right.
It's
but
not
we
just
wouldn't-
So
about
if you wanna
please
bring
don't
that
cut
up-
this.
All I'm saying is we wouldn't
Revenue.
have to identify individual trees, it'd be 50 feet from the.
I understand, but we already awarded a contract, we already did
It
stuff,
would
so it
have
had
to
to
be
be the
negotiated.
council
Right.
as a whole to direct our city staff to do this,
Right.
not
I
just,
understand,
so it's gotta come to council.
but all I'm suggesting is that when we approach council about this, instead of saying we wanna protect individual trees, we wanna say 50 feet from the
Right,
stream.
well, I'm not, unless the committee wants to do it, I'm not bringing anything up on discussion, that would
No,
have to
and-
come from,
and
if Mike wants to do it, or.
I know that there's more points that you wanna discuss about this, but I know Cecilia has another meeting to
Yeah.
get to, and I would really like to just quickly bring this up to this council, or, I'm sorry, to this, committee, because we have budget discussion coming up.
Mhm.
And one of the things I saw on our, budget, is funding for renovations of bathrooms at City Hall. And I just wanted to propose that part of that renovation include making them non-gendered bathrooms. So that, you know, not just men and women's bathroom, but just bathrooms, especially any single, stall bathrooms that we have. I think that that would alleviate, I think, one, it would make it more accessible for everybody, and two, it would alleviate some concerns that happen when we have breaks that are very short during council meetings. There's not even, playing stage there for access to bathrooms. So I would just like that to be considered, and I wanted to bring that up in this, committee so that we can hopefully advocate for that.
We haven't started any of that project yet, have we?
No, that's in the 26th budget.
Budget.
request. So it would,
Yeah, but I mean, like,
it would start in like
we-
potentially
What do
January.
we only voted on the program, right?
Oh.
To establish the budget?
Right, you haven't voted on anything yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
still to come.
So, the last word I'm saying about this is just, I'm looking at DC regulations, and apparently, it'll require public hearing for them to get a permit, so just so you guys are aware. So,
For the what?
for them to get a permit,
Who's them?
the loggers get a DC permit to cut along Banana Creek, it's gonna require, public notice and public hearing, as I read it. But DC regulations are also super complicated, so I can't swear to it. But-
Silviculture is exempt. If you remember Rod was saying, you do not need a permit to do tree clearing in the riparian zone. The only
Okay.
thing you need a permit for is.
I'm trying to end it.
across the street.
You're good.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll see you in a moment.
I thought
I've
there
gotta
was-
get over there too.
Yeah.
Hook them up with it.
Not
Alright.
really,
I think-
no, no.
All right, I'm wrong then.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think also, the other thing that I just wanna, while we're still talking about this environmental, studies, I mean, how does that play into what was decided already? I mean, cause I know there's concerns about the watershed, but I know with the other projects that we've looked at, there's had to be environmental, assessments and things done. So was that part of this process?
This is a little different with
Yeah.
logging. It's not the same
Silviculture is
price.
exempt from certain.
From those, okay.
Yeah, a little different. A lot of the permitting that, the DEC, Army Corps have related to development.
Mhm.
So, installation of utilities, building residential homes, building of subdivisions, that kind of thing. It's a little different because kind of like Rod was saying, we had met them. Rod came to the environmental board, spoke to the environmental board. It's kind of like, we're managing the watershed as our garden. And, you're, selective cutting, taking out, the vegetables or trees that you want to harvest at this time. So it's a little different, because you're not doing, not clear cutting, it's select cut. It's managed, based on, trees that might not be gonna live because, there's emerald ash borer, so we're taking down a lot of, all the ash trees we're taking down, part of the project. What you want the forest to be in the future, whether you want, pine forest or oaks or whatever, so that's how it's been currently managed.
Okay, thanks, that helps give some context that it's, I think, like especially when you bring up terms like clear cutting, things like that are very
Right.
touchy, right? But knowing that it's managed, it's selected, and it's, thought through and not just clear cutting, that
Well,
helps me
You're trying to
understand
make a
the
healthy
scope of it
forest.
better.
Except that we don't have a forest management plan. So, as Chris said, ROD is our forest management plan. So, so in the long term, like, not for the cuts that are happening now, but sort of long term, we need to plan for that, and also, and other open space too. Because it's different issues, but issues come up on New Island too, not logging related, but in terms of public use and that sort of thing. So, I think my biggest concern is water quality, because it's basically standard practice, it has been for 20 years, not to have a 50-foot buffer around your drinking water. And so, Rod Jones is kind of the old school forester who's like, trees are just crops that grow more slowly, which completely disregards the ecological consequences of logging. So long term, I think we need to do a better job managing the forest, not just for income, but for recreation and ecology. And I think it's on our backs to some extent as council, because directions, Rod is just doing what he's directed from staff. Staff are like, we're short on money, we need to raise money to fund.
Well,
I-
this is, it's a little
programs.
more than that, this has been going on for a while, right? And
This has been managed as a,
Yeah.
timber
Right.
property for over 100 years.
Right, and for those 100 years, these 200-year trees have never been cut.
I
And
don't
now,
hear what Chris has to say though, please.
So it's been managed as a, timber property for over 100 years, as far as I know. There have been multiple timber harvests way before my time. There was one actually 2014, 2012, Craig. It's been managed as that type of property, and it's been income for the city. As far as turbidity, I did ask the water treatment plant if we would see increase in turbidity at the plant, and I've been told no. During the last 3 years of logging project we had. So there has not been an increase in turbidity that we have seen at the plant, but we continue to monitor it. Turbidity is a parameter that we do evaluate on a daily basis, and so we do monitor that closely.
It all goes right back down to a healthy forest is one that sunlight can get through the canopy and down there to let things grow. That's how the world's gone forever. That's why, so.
Cecilia's meeting is waiting for
For grade.
Our city administrator.
at least the city
I don't
administrator.
wanna,
But I think he feels torn, so
yeah,
are we all
this
set?
is an official.
I think we're good. You all set? All set?
yeah.
Are we
Okay.
adjourned? Cool.
So we ended.
Thanks.